So guys, it's been a while. I'll be honest, I didn't play much Destiny during the Warmind DLC, hence the lack of videos. But we're in Forsaken now, and there's a ton of new stuff to do. Milestones, weapon changes, and subclasses to discuss. So I felt like it was a good time to get back into the YouTube grind. Anyway, the reason for this video. I was wanting to get back into the Optimized series, but with the drop rates of exotics becoming far more strict, and the fact that Xur will not be selling anything new for the foreseeable future, it's a little hard to cast my opinion on things I've yet to get my hands on. For now though, I thought I'd share some of the different builds that I've been using for my characters, maybe even make a few recommendations. Who knows? Let's get into it. Up first, the Warlock. My main character as of late, since my raid group is very hunter heavy. The Well of Radiance super is obviously my go-to super for anything challenging. The incredibly potent healing and damage potential the well provides is unmatched in a lot of endgame content, particularly the Riven fight in the Last Wish raid. On top of that, using the well offensively in Gambit and the Blind Well also performs very well. I usually pair my Well of Radiance build with my Lunafaction boots, to grant my fire team an endless torrent of gunfire. If I had the choice though, I would probably be using Phoenix Protocol with a well build, instead of Lunafaction, since it can pretty much grant you a full super back for getting kills while you're in your rift. For boss damage, Lunafaction would probably be better, but for everything else, I'd use Phoenix Protocol. That is, if I ever can get it. Well of Radiance does run into a few problems down the road though, particularly with the auto reload feature of Whisper not working. And I've heard that Phoenix Protocol causes a number of visual glitches that can definitely mess up your runs of Riven, but with everything working correctly, Well of Radiance with either Lunafaction or Phoenix Protocol are a sound choice for surviving some of the hardest content the game provides. The build that's been taking up most of my time, however, isn't all that new. I've been playing a ton of Gambit lately, so I've been looking for builds that can cut down enemies very quickly, can deal quick damage to a boss for melt strategies, and can deal with invaders at longer ranges. Nova Warp is pretty nice for this, but I've been having the best luck with the Risk Runner, Pulse Grenades, and a Chaos Reach build. To deal with the adds, it's a pretty simple formula. Throw a Pulse Grenade at your feet to trigger the Arc Conductor perk on Risk Runner. Kill an entire wave of enemies with Risk Runner because it's crazy powerful with the Arc Conductor perk active. Bank your motes and repeat at the next wave. The only limiting factor of this build is that you need to take arc damage to trigger the Arc Conductor perk, which isn't really a problem for most factions, but having it on demand with a Pulse Grenade is really handy. To keep my grenade charge up, I use the Warmind exotic Verity's Brow, which grants grenade energy for energy weapon kills. Put simply, it couples perfectly with the Risk Runner. Also using the new Chaos Reach super with this build is great for Gambit, since it can be used to deal with invaders, if you don't get sleeped immediately, and can put out a lot of damage quickly on your Primeval, which works well with the usual Melting Point and Blade Barrage setup for boss DPS. Again, it's a pretty straightforward build that gets the job done, which is honestly what you want in game modes like Gambit. So this is what I've been using on my Warlock lately. I would really like to get my hands on some of the new exotics, like Phoenix Protocol and the Geomag Stabilizers, but for now, these builds have been serving me very well. Up next, we'll look at the Titan. Outside of using Melting Point occasionally, there are two particular builds that I've found very effective and powerful in the right scenarios. The new Striker subclass, Code of the Missile, is not only incredibly fun to play with, but with the right build, can provide continuous cooldowns, giving you excellent ad control. The melee ability for this new skill tree acts kinda like the Death from Above node from the D1 Striker subclass, except it now grants super energy for damaging nearby enemies. Coupling this skill tree with an exotic like Skullfort will immediately cooldown your melee ability on a kill, meaning you can use your Death from Above melee attack again and again and again, so long as you keep getting the killing blow on something each time. This paired with the bonus super energy you get, you can forget using guns and just ability spam your way through missions. It can be a bit situational, but Strikes and Gambit are great places to try it. The other build I've been using, mostly for harder content, is the new Sentinel subclass, Code of the Commander. I'll be honest, the Void Detonators this tree provides are insanely good. I use an exotic like Doomfang to get a chunk of super back for a melee kill. Then the Void Detonators typically chain the enemies for even more explosions, which also heal you and grant ability energy back. In the right setting, you can get your Sentinel super back in a record time with this build. Punch an enemy to get your super energy. Watch the detonators explode a pack of enemies, and your melee charge is probably already back again for more super energy. A really powerful build across all parts of the game, ranging from strikes to the raid, to Gambit, and definitely even in the Crucible. This is the build I usually play with for the Last Wish raid, where you want defense-oriented supers over damage-dealing ones. Really something to try out. And finally, we have the Hunter. As you can probably imagine, most of my time on this character, I've been using Blade Barrage like most Hunters. I actually really like the new Arcstrider class with the projectile deflection and rate influx, but nothing can compete with the DPS and the crowd control of Blade Barrage. I don't have Shards of Galanor yet, which will absolutely be my exotic of choice when I get it, so I've been making do with what I have. I actually heard about a new configuration today that I found interesting with the 1000 Cuts tree. Specifically, it involves the Burning Edge ability, which states that while enemies burn, your dodge will recharge faster. This perk is usually triggered by your throwing knives or incendiary grenades, but it can be also triggered by the exotic trace rifle Prometheus Lens. Coupling this with an exotic like the 6th Coyote, which gives you 2 dodge charges, you can pretty much have your dodge ability ready at all times. Taking this build even further, finding a pair of boots with the Dynamo perk, which grants super energy for dodging, you can get your Blade Barrage up quite a bit faster with this build. Is this build a game breaker? No. But it is pretty cool how you can more or less control the rate of your super cooldown. If I had the choice, I would still use Shards of Galanor, but since this build will work with shards, it might be interesting to see how fast you can get your super back. So anyway, these are the builds I've been rolling with since the launch of Forsaken. Let me know what you guys think of the builds, or if you have other builds, or maybe have things to add. Thanks for watching guys, more content's on the way.